Calling meeting of the Board of Directors of Friday, December 15th, 2023 to order. Please note, this meeting is being recorded. Thank you to the members of the public here today in person and online for joining us. I appreciate everyone's patience as we move through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you and good morning to everyone. Welcome to the last board meeting, hopefully, of 2023, and happy holidays if I don't get to say it again. We'll start with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Present.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino?
Here.
Giudice?
Present.
Crossball?
Here.
Hernandez?
Here.
Maston is absent. Moulton Peters?
Here.
Parr?
Here.
Rabbit?
Here.
Verdoni?
Here.
Safai is absent. Snyder?
Here.
Stephanie?
Present.
Here.
Present.
Second Vice President Hill?
Here.
First Vice President Cochran?
Here.
And President Terrio.
Here.
Thank you. Our 15 members.
15 members. That will work. Director Stephanie, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Stephanie. We would now move to public comment. We have some people online and some people personally. I'll take those from here in person first. I have a set of cards in front of me. Let's go with the 3 minutes, even though we do have the numbers stacking up a little bit. And I will ask if you can abbreviate your comments a little bit to allow for us to remain more or less within the half hour we normally give to public comment. I would appreciate it. First up, I have Kimberly Renee Gamboa. Ms. Gamboa.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Renee Gamboa, and this is one of my favorite high school photos of my 18-year-old son, Kyle Emerson Gamboa. Kyle jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge at 11:45 a.m. on September 20th, 2013. The Golden Gate Bridge suicide deterrent is nearly complete. The project is a monumental accomplishment and is already making a difference in saving lives. I want to thank each and every one of you, all the directors that have preceded you, the Golden Gate Bridge staff, and the construction staff that have worked tirelessly on the suicide deterrent. Without all of you, the project would have never have happened. Nothing in this world will ever bring my son back. And I miss him every single day. But all of you have shown that you deeply care about my son. Not only my son, but you care about everyone that has lost their life to the Golden Gate Bridge. And everyone that has the potential to lose their life here in the future. It has definitely been a long journey and a journey of healing. Thank you for listening to us over all of these years and taking decisive action on saving lives on the Golden Gate Bridge. Thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gamboa. The next speaker is Kathy Contway.
No.
Hello, my name is Kathy Conway, and I am Kyle Gamboa's grandmother. And there's not a morning that I don't wake up with thoughts of where the net is at this point in time. And again, as my daughter, thanks you, I thank you so much, all of your collective efforts in making this come to pass. And I also don't lose sight of the fact that, yes, we miss our loved one very much. Thank you. And but I also think of the many people, lives that will be saved. And again, as myself, a mental health clinician for many decades, I think of my, in that realm of will be saving many lives for them also. I have that great hope. So thank you all again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Conway. I believe the board will be with me in saying that we all appreciate your family's efforts in this regard and regret the reason for them. Thank you.
That
Next is Manuel Gamboa.
Good morning. It's good to be back. I don't know how you guys feel, but it's almost like being home, back here in the building. I like what you did with the place. Looks pretty nice. I didn't try the elevator, though. I don't trust it. As far as that goes, I just wanted to echo what my wife said as far as the thanking, but I want to say some names. London Breed, Janet Riley, Scott Weiner, and I miss this guy very much, Brian Sable, Alex Fredericks, of course, John Moreland. We all know his story. And Bert Hill, Gerard. These people are just some of the early people that I remember coming when my son first passed away. Patricia and Dick, you and Barbara, David Rabbit, Michael. Seems like you and Dick and Brian and of course the director over there, good guy. But everybody that's here, it's been like my wife said, a long journey, and I just can't say enough on thanking you guys. And we've read statistics already, and it's shown that it's working. It really is, and that's all I wanted. I just wanted to have, how you say, prevention, and that's what's been going on. And so with that, it's you all know I'm very thankful. And with that, just want to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I don't know if this is going to be my last meeting, because I know this project's coming up to an end. And I told myself that's what I was going to do. As soon as it was over, I was going to not be here to harass you guys anymore. But as far as that goes, it might be, it might not be. I can always use the phone. So, and just look forward to the future of reading the stories on how this is saving lives. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamboa. If you'll permit me the privilege, I will add Tom Amiano to that list. Next speaker is John Holden.
Good morning, board. I was driving around this morning and I was divinely inspired to say thank you to President Terrio for his tireless service and his Herculean efforts on the behalf of the Golden Gate Park. I've attended some of those meetings and I'm very appreciative as a participant. I'd also like to congratulate my coworker for winning Employee of the Month. He's very inspiring. He brings out the gym stuff, and I should work out more, but he's a very inspiring person. And I would just like to say, I love working for the bridge. I grew up looking at the bridge in high school at George Washington. I used to ride my bicycle across the bridge in my 20s and early teens. And at one time I hit the tower head on when it was raining and the bike didn't stop. And I used to be able to go under the bridge. There were so many places you could go, you know, on the rare occasions that it would close the bridge. I one time went up on the sidewalk, 100-mile-an-hour winds in the rain. And boy, it's the bridge is never the same any 2 days. It's always changing. The sky changes, the ocean changes, and driving across the bridge, it's really a special bridge for me as a San Franciscan. And I'm a little melancholic because, you know, my Aunt Joan Holden, she wrote a lot of plays for the mime troupe, and she's ready to pass away. And, you know, she is loved in some circles and not liked in the other circles. But she's kind of a gadfly, and I wanted to read the definition of a gadfly because I'm kind of a gadfly myself. And it's an annoying person, especially one who provokes others into action by criticism. So I'm sure you're well aware, you guys, that's your job, to hear all the gadflies and deal with that. And you know, but I just wanted to thank you for your service, and just public service is really important. And you know, I'm a bus driver, and I also have a little shop in Mill Valley Mercantile, and so you know, a lot of times we get heated, but we have more in common than when we do apart. And I would just like to say that. You know, looking back at this year and some of the struggles, you know, I think working together, moving forward is really a wonderful thing to do. And I just would like to wish you all a happy holiday. And you know, things change. You know, I dropped the kids off today at the school, Archie Williams. It used to be Drake High. The kids are different. My kids remind me to use the right pronouns, and you know, things change, and I'm willing to grow, and I'm teachable and reteachable, and I hope I never stop learning and growing and accepting change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Thank you for your kind words toward me. And you know, gadflies are essential in our system, so thank you. The next speaker is Shane Weinstein. Mr. Weinstein.
Good morning, Chair Terrio, Mr. Mullinger, good morning, and directors as well. As much as I would like to sit up here and tear apart the general manager's report, this isn't the day for that. But I very quickly wanted to say that who we are going to recognize today in Dexter Senegar is probably one of the best people on the planet. Not one of the best drivers, not one of the best people on this planet. And I want to thank him for making me a better person, for making me a better leader, being calm at all times. So we have a good one here. We have a real good one here, and I just wanted to recognize him myself. Lastly, I would like to thank you, Chair Terrio, for your service to not only this board, but to the pension trust. It sucks losing you. I'll be very honest with you. I've never had somebody come more prepared, more willing to talk, but also do that with I don't even know what word to use, but what I can say is you always came willing to talk, always giving the spot, and always using words that nobody really understood. Okay.
And that's when I was speaking English, not French.
Right. And it was still tough. So you'd run home and you'd grab your dictionary and just go, "What did he say by that? Was that good or bad?" But we made it through it. We made it through. So on behalf of this local ATU 1575 and me personally, I really want to thank you for your service to this bridge, to the members of ATU 1575, and to the families of those members. So thank you again. I wish you only the best, and happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays.
Merci bien, Monsieur Weinstein.
See, there you go.
Next speaker is Dave Rody.
Morning. My name is Dave Rody. I'm the San Francisco Policy Co-Chair of Al Gore's Climate Reality Project. After following the proceedings of COP28, I'm very disheartened. COP, the United Nations Conference of Parties, brings together the 200 nations that signed the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. The goal is to advance greater commitment individually and collectively to mitigating climate change. After all these years, they finally agreed that fossil fuels are the root cause of climate change. But they reached no agreement on phasing it out. Since the first UN convention in Kyoto in 1997, global greenhouse gas emissions have increased by 60%. Globally, oil companies receive government subsidies at a rate of $11 million per minute. I'm equally disheartened by a combination of local reports over the last couple of months. First, I was happy to read that WETA just received an additional $16 million for a total of $117 million in federal, state, and local funding to further its commitment to its rapid electric emission-free ferry program. The article included a footnote that the Golden Gate Bridge District received a small chunk of the 16 million to repair Sausalito Dock. Then I turned to a recent district news release stating that the propulsion system being considered for your new ferry is not all electric, but a diesel electric hybrid. When I questioned this plan at a recent board meeting, Mr. Mulligan defended it by saying electric ferries are not fast enough to satisfy our commuters. Where is the evidence to back up that claim? The idea that your ferry has to be fast enough to hit 35 knots is like saying you need a really fast car to get to work on time. The Bay has speed limits, just like streets and highways do. A couple of years ago when this issue came up, Jim Swindler, who was your ferry division manager at the time, provided me with a chart of the Bay's speed limits. Half of the route from Larkspur to San Francisco has speed limits under 35 knots. Working with an engineer, I presented calculations showing that a ferry with a maximum speed of 28 knots takes just 7 minutes longer to make the Larkspur to San Francisco trip. 7 minutes. Has anyone polled your ferry commuters to ask them if an extra 7 minutes is okay with them, especially if it means riding on a zero emissions electric ferry? Why hasn't the Golden Gate Bridge District embraced a plan similar to WETA's rapid electric emission-free ferry program? What are you afraid of? Since they operate the San Francisco ferry service, most people believe the Bay Area has a solid commitment to emissions-free electric ferries. They're not aware that the Golden Gate Bridge District operates a completely different ferry service that is not committed to being all electric. In 2024, my Bay Area colleagues and I are going to do everything we can to correct that public perception and to put pressure on you to change course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rody. That is all the cards I have. Is there anyone here from the public who has not spoken who wishes to speak? Then on the phone, we have a number of speakers. Ms. Bach and Madam Secretary, would you take us through those?
Sure. Justine, I'm going to turn it over to you. I believe you mentioned that there's 4 speakers on the line, so if you could introduce them on your end, and then I believe others might have joined, so you may want to poll again after the 4 speak.
Yes, thank you so much. Our first speaker this morning is Warren Wells. Warren, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. President Terrio, members of the board, this is Warren Wells with the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. As you'll see in your packet, our volunteer advocacy team focused on the bridge and the Marin headlands has submitted a letter urging the development of a comprehensive signage and wayfinding plan for the bicycle and pedestrian users of the bridge. The signage that sits on the bridge and its approaches today is something of a hodgepodge, clearly deployed at different times over the years. Instructions are confusing, inconsistent in colors, fonts, and iconography, and primarily based in English, thus not easily understood by the bridge's many international users. We believe that a well thought out wayfinding system could result in less confusing backtracking by bridge users and, importantly, more compliance with the sidewalk rules, thus creating a safer experience for pedestrians and bicyclists, tourists and commuters alike, traveling over the bridge's narrow and oversubscribed sidewalks. People crossing America's most famous bridge deserve a clear and straightforward experience, whether it's their first time or their 100th time on it. We believe that a signage and wayfinding plan, thoughtfully designed and implemented, will be a cost-effective way to substantially improve the user experience for those crossing on foot or on a bicycle. Thank you for your time and consideration, and happy holidays to everyone.
Our next speaker this morning is Maurizio Bonaccini. Maurizio.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, board members. My name is Maurizio Bonaccini. I'm from San Francisco. I'm a physician, and I'm also an ambassador for the Golden Gate Triathlon Club. My comments have to do with some safety issues about the bridge and my understanding the safety on Alexander Avenue. I think the previous speaker already mentioned signage on the bridge. I would like to add the possibility that better stenciling be made at both ends of the bridge to make sure there is some separation between cyclists and pedestrians. That would be a way to prevent any accidents or incidents that may occur. I also wanted to plead for the maintenance crews to keep, and understand clearly this bridge needs constant maintenance, on the west side of the span, to keep equipment as far out as possible from the area where the cyclists use to go one direction and the other direction. And I mentioned this, the signage has already been mentioned by the prior speaker, and I would completely second that comment. And I understand also about the Alexander Avenue safety, which is probably the most important to me as a cyclist, particularly as you all know, there is this very steep downhill that can be potentially dangerous if you hit a pothole, and there are multiple potholes there. To keep them in good repair, and that's been done in the past. Actually, earlier this year, I asked the board to have the major potholes repaired. They were done very quickly, actually. So thank you very much, and that was well done. And I wanted to know if repaving, the complete repaving of the bridge, the Alexander Avenue, which I understand it's already funded, could occur as a priority. So that would be my last comment. So thank you very much. Happy holidays, and thank you for allowing me to make my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaccini, and you're quite welcome. The next speaker, Ms. Bach, please.
Our next speaker is Taylor Walker. Taylor, go ahead.
Good morning, President and board members. I wanted to express my enthusiasm and support for the letter that you recently received, care of the Marin County Bicycle Coalition, regarding wayfinding. I live in San Francisco, and I ride over the Golden Gate Bridge often. for recreation and enjoyment, to get up into the headlands, and also to access other places in Marin County. And I think I speak for a lot of friends and colleagues that I ride with when we support the wayfinding letter. Wayfinding to the bridge and on the bridge is confusing, somewhat contradictory, in many different fonts, signs that have been applied numerous times over perhaps many decades. And the biggest concern is safety. And I have, if you will, been a part of or witnessed or provided care to people who have had accidents on both sides of the pedestrian and bike paths on the bridge. I have seen EMS come out many times and bring traffic almost to a standstill on one side of the bridge as they try to help people who have been injured in cycling and cycling pedestrian collisions. And so I very much hope that you will take a look at the letter and the suggestions around wayfinding. We would love to partner with you on this. And as Director Wells suggested, it is a cost-effective alternative to the chaos and the expense of EMS, police, and so forth. Just wanted to redouble enthusiasm and support for the wayfinding letter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Lynn Gorfinkel. Lynn, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, President and board members. I just wanted to show my support for the wayfinding letter. I live in the Presidio. I lived here for over 20 years, and I regularly cycle over the bridge for enjoyment. And a lot of times it's not very enjoyable experience at all. For myself, for tourists that have traveled far and wide to access and enjoy the beautiful iconic bridge. I'm really passionate about improving the experience for coming over the bridge and improving the signage. It's very confusing, it's cluttered, and it creates a potentially dangerous experience literally almost every time I travel over the bridge. So I'm looking forward to how we can update the signage, create a much clearer and more modern wayfinding plan, and create a safer experience for everybody traveling over the bridge. It would be great to see how we can partner to create a much better and updated signage experience.
Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
President Terrio, I would like to poll the room if you don't mind. We did have a few additional people join.
Please do.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else that's joined us that would like to speak this morning? Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I am not hearing anyone else. That concludes our speakers this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Bach. Mr. Mulligan, there was quite a bit there. I imagine you're going to want to respond to some of it.
Certainly, if the board will indulge me, I'll try to be brief because I know some of you have other obligations after this. I just want to thank the Gamboas for their advocacy. The most important thing to think about the suicide barrier is it really is a testament to the power of advocacy in a democracy. The reason it's being built is because of the advocates, so my hat is off to them and I commend them for their tireless advocacy, coming to this board, testifying for over 10 years since their son died in September of 2013. With respect to Mr. Holden and Mr. Weinstein, I want to thank them for their comments. I learned something new from Mr. Holden today with respect to a definition of a word, which is always appreciative. With respect to Mr. Rohde, I want to assure him that this board is committed to electrification. We are committed to greening our entire fleet. The WIDA plan to electrify does not deal with their long, fast trip from Vallejo, because technically they cannot do it. But they do some short trips, and certainly an electric ferry going from the waterfront of San Francisco to Treasure Island is not too long a trip. And so it's not a speed-sensitive trip, nor is it a recharging in terms of the amount of power it draws. But we are working very closely with WIDA. WIDA is building a boat as we speak. The designer for our next boat is the exact same designer as the boat that they're building, and it will have the same technology, but it is a diesel vessel. They're building the most recent boat is a Dorado class boat. It's to serve their Vallejo service. Our boats are much bigger than theirs in terms of our passenger loadings also. The WIDA boats, the biggest boat I believe is 300 passengers. Our new boat will be 500 passengers. But we are very interested in the topic. We're tracking it. Our ferry manager went to Europe with WIDA, with Washington State Ferries and the California Air Resources Board about a year ago on a trip to explore the technology and see what's feasible. And things are changing rapidly. But at this juncture, our customers like speed. If we give them a slow trip, they will choose another mode. That does not affect us. Depending on the mode they choose, it may actually help us financially, but it's contrary to the goals of our climate emergency declaration. Because people, right or wrong, when they commute, typically choose what's fastest. And if we slow down our ferry boats and it's faster to drive, they will choose to drive. And I don't think that's in the best interest of adding additional cars to the streets of San Francisco or Highway 101 inside the Marin. But we're very committed to electrification, and we appreciate his reminders and his advocacy because he does keep us honest. The other speakers spoke about the sidewalks. All the speakers that spoke talked about signage as being the problem. All of them are regular users, so they're familiar with the signage. Their concern is others using the sidewalk. When sidewalks get crowded, it's a shared space, and if you're a cyclist going by, you don't like it when a family's walking three abreast. That letter is a great letter, and it has some good suggestions, and it shows lots of photos of people walking three abreast getting in the way of a cyclist. But people are on vacation. They're coming to visit San Francisco. We want them to visit San Francisco, so we do need to coexist in the sidewalk. The letter also talked about enforcement. We're not going to ticket people for walking three abreast while they're on a family vacation. So we do all need to get along, but we are receptive to ideas to modify signage. Every time someone has ideas to modify the signage, we put up a new sign. And it's much simpler today than it was, but we do have a lot of rules we need to communicate, especially on the south end of the bridge. Things come up from a couple different directions. They all convene in one spot. So you have that one spot to put all your signage. And it is difficult to communicate, but if the board wants, we can create a new capital plan and hire the world's greatest communicators and signage experts, and we can spend money modifying the signs. But I will confess that I don't believe that family on vacation won't stop walking three abreast just because we have a sign that says, please don't do that. So we do have challenges on our sidewalk. The challenges we have are a good problem. Our challenge is that too many people want to use our sidewalks. In general, the signage works, but it is narrow. It's only 10 feet. And based on the amount of people that use our sidewalks, if we're building it today, we would probably build it differently. But we're fortunate that those who went before us in the 1930s did put a sidewalk on the bridge. We're fortunate that your predecessors extended the sidewalk on the west side because it did not go all the way across until a few decades ago. And the sidewalk was widened to 10 feet on portions of the east side where it was originally constructed more narrow. But anything beyond that's a significant undertaking, but if it's a board pleasure, we can talk about it at a future P&O meeting or a finance meeting about adding a capital project to look at signage. But the reality is people on vacation, they're in Disneyland. They're wandering around, and I know that's frustrating if you're doing a recreational ride. If you're a triathlete, you're timing yourself, and it's frustrating, and I appreciate that. With respect to Alexander Avenue, we have a team out there surveying it as we speak. We hired a consultant. It's part of a process that we disclosed to the board previously, and it's covered in the engineer's report. One bit of good news, though, with respect to Alexander Avenue, was built in the 1930s when I dare say there was no bicyclists or pedestrians walking down it. It was going through military lands. It's used much more intensely today, but the National Park Service has advertised a construction contract for what's known as Vista Point Road. And so the reality is that probably won't be concluded until 2025, but they've advertised a construction contract. Vista Point Road is a gravel road that leaves the Vista Point at the north end of the bridge and winds down a hill underneath the bridge to Lower Constman Road. So it'll provide a path of travel for bicyclists. that has much better views in Alexander Avenue, where you're going through cuts with big slopes on either side of you. And so we're excited that the Park Service is proceeding with that. We're a partner with them on that. We have some contributions and some work to do as part of that. That harkens back to how we used to maintain the bridge. There is a project moving forward that has been advertised to open up Vista Point Road. It's something that'll be welcomed by Sausalito, by folks that ride bikes and drive on Alexander Avenue to give pedestrians a different path and arguably a much more scenic path for those that want to walk from San Francisco to Sausalito. And that concludes my response to today's commenters.
Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. The next item on the calendar is the consent calendar. Next item, I would ask you to hold your comments on the director's remarks until his report. Thank you. The next item on the consent on the agenda is the consent calendar. Is there any discussion of the consent calendar? All the directors have received it and had opportunity to review it. Director Thier, you have something you wanted to add?
Yes. Actually, I'll hold my comment till the next item. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Because of the length of the agenda, I will take votes today as voice votes unless either a director requests otherwise or the voice vote is inconclusive. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That is plenty conclusive. Then next item on the agenda is the General Manager's report. General Manager Mulligan.
Thank you, Chair Therio, members of the board, members of the public and staff. My written report is before you. I am pleased that it's been 4 years since we've had employee recognitions in person. So I will take out of order the last item that appears in my GM report. I'm very pleased to announce that our Employee of the Month committee, which is a committee of employees, not managers, has selected a bus operator, Dexter Senegar, to be the Employee of the Month for December of 2023. He is credited with organizing and setting up a fitness work area at our SF bus lot where drivers take breaks midday. He's instrumental in not only taking that initiative, but encouraging, as you heard from one of our public speakers, his colleagues to take advantage of their break and to exercise. They very, very much appreciate how he encourages all of them to stay fit and picks up their morale. He joined the district in May of 2001 as a bus operator. He was born in San Francisco. He lives in San Francisco today. He's lived there since 1964. He went to Woodrow Wilson High School. He went to City College of San Francisco. And his wife, Shamika, is also a bus driver with us. So I will ask him to come up and we will present him with some gifts. We'll give him a chance to say a few words.
Great.
No worries. This is for you. And I'll hold this while we take a photo. This is a little bit so you are right. So you want to say a few words? You want to acknowledge your family? I can do this while you do that. The mic is on.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank God for being here. I want to thank my family for being here, my beautiful wife, Shamika.
Have them stand up. Thank you.
My brother Todd, my son Dustin, and last but not least, my father, Abe. It was really a surprise for them to come. I didn't know. My wife set that up, having them come out and share this award with me. I want to thank the district. I want to thank my fellow co-workers for nominating me for this award. It's really been a pleasure working here for the last 22 years. Sometimes we get jaded about working here, but it's always amazing to me when I'm driving across the bridge and there's somebody who's on the bus and want to see the bridge for the first time, and their excitement when I come through the tunnel, they say, there's a bridge, you know, so that kind of gives me the thing, okay, I work for a great district here. And I'd just like to thank you guys again for the award. Dennis, thank you. Thank you. Thank
We haven't had a chance to do that for a while in person. Feels good. General Manager Mulligan.
So we have a couple other employees that were not able to come today that I would be remiss if I did not mention. Linford Edwards is a senior engineer who celebrates 30 years with the district. I had the pleasure of working with him when I had my prior job at the district, and he is a joy to work with. He is an incredibly talented person that manages a lot of our environmental type projects, and you would be amazed at how many environmental issues that we have here. He came to us originally on November 1st of 1993 as an associate environmental engineer, assigned to a lead cleanup project, which still goes on today. He's worked on many of our dredging projects and a whole host of other projects at various sites where we moved underground storage tanks and did a lot of very complicated work in a challenging regulatory framework. So we're very fortunate to have him here as part of our team. So he comes to us with a degree, a master's degree from Stanford University. He has originally worked a variety of different places, and he's just a joy to work with. Also is Paul Wong, celebrating 25 years, another engineer in the engineering department. Paul is the person that you rely upon when you need something done and gets done. He joined us originally December 3rd, 1998 as an assistant civil engineer. He's won many awards. He went to the University of California, Irvine, and he is someone that is just amazing. I remember when I was an engineer, how many times I would call Paul saying, hey, Paul, can you do this? And I'm sure Ava does the same today. So we're very fortunate to have him. Then in the Bridge Division, we have a 25-year service award to Jeffrey Sylvester. He's an operating engineer in the Bridge Division. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention someone who's a member of OE Local 3. He joined us as an operating engineer on December 10th of 1998. Prior to that, he was employed as a mechanic for Independent Scissors Lift. Then we didn't have a meeting last month, so we had an employee of the month last month also, and that was Senior Business Information System Engineer Robert Lease, and he was the employee of the month for November of 2023. And he's recognized for his work helping the payroll department. We had an item yesterday that will come before you again today that talks about our payroll. We have 27 different sets of payroll rules for all the different job classifications. And so he's just been incredibly helpful to our payroll department in helping them navigate all that's necessary to pay our employees. And we're fortunate that even though we have incredibly complicated employees, we pay our employees the right amount on time, almost all the time. Then, I said almost because once in a while someone has an issue. Then in my report, one of the speakers alluded to it, I did provide a write-up on the bus operators pension plan. I do want to make sure that you take a look at that. Our bus operators are in current and retired are represented by AT Local 1575, and as that member of a unique pension plan, our other employees are in 3 different pension plans. And that pension plan is a GG TARP, the Golden Gate Transit Amalgamated Retirement Pension Plan. It has an awkward governance structure, which really contributes to a lot of the challenges it faces today. I think Director Conway astutely opined and noticed that when we last met and talked about this topic. Most pension plans design a pension so that the amount you receive monthly times about how long you're going to live is tied to how much came in for you, plus the earnings on that and the investments. This pension plan does not do that, and so it is a problem. And in my report, I have a couple of examples. Most pension plans, if you check the box that your spouse will get your benefit when you die, the amount of your monthly pension is reduced, and it's tied to the age of your spouse. This pension plan does not do that, so it's not surprising that they're in fiscal trouble. Similarly, most pension plans have a strong correlation between the age at which you retire and how big your monthly pension is. This plan does not. So how the plan is structured is that we, the district and the union, negotiate contributions, but the benefit level is set by the trustees. And so there's a big disconnect there. And I think long-term, we want to try to fix that. We want to work with the ATU Local 1575. In recent collective bargaining agreements, we've tried to effect some change. We've been somewhat unsuccessful in getting some of those changes through so far, but I'm optimistic that in the coming months, those changes will be voted on by the trustees as they were agreed to at the bargaining table. A couple to change the benefit table to more align with what other pension plans do, but then more significantly, to prepare a rehabilitation plan. And I just want to warn all you that when we prepare that rehabilitation plan, if it's adopted by the trustees, it will require on an ongoing basis significantly more contributions from the district. And so we look forward to working with a subgroup. Will be our director, Chris Snyder, Mr. Shane Weinstein from the union. We're in the process of hiring experts to help develop with them a rehabilitation plan. But as part of that, we'll also want to look at changing the governance of the plan so we're not back in this situation again in 10 years. It's important that all of our employees have a pension after a long career working for us. And of all of our employee groups, this is the only one that has something that's a significant risk. And so it's important to recognize how this pension is different from other pensions and to make it more like all the other pensions. And so I look forward to having a monthly report for you on this. I won't walk you through it each month like I just did, but since this is the first one, and this I believe was a suggestion of Director Groswell, that we have regular updates on the status of fixing the pension. So I will give you regular updates in writing as to the status of those efforts. And hopefully sometime in 2024, the pension plan will adopt a rehabilitation plan, and they'll adopt some plan amendments that affect governance. And then we'll be talking to you about putting a lot more money into that plan. So everything else in my report does not need to be reiterated. I'm available to answer any questions you may have on any of those topics.
Are there comments or questions on the general manager's report? Director Hill, did you want to go ahead with your question now?
Yeah, but it was actually back on the speaker. The question I've got is, with electric bikes, we have a lot more, a growing number of people riding electric bikes, in addition to what just a few years ago were strictly riding without. If the reduction of the number of cars traveling on the bridge is consistent, it might be worth consideration of building a separation between bicycles, electric bicycles, and pedestrians who really, a lot of the time, just want to look outside at the views and things like that. So just a consideration strategically to watch and see if that's something that could be possible for that isolation.
So for the newer directors, about 2 years ago, the board adopted a change in its rules. We adopted an ordinance that we expressly allow electric bikes class 1, 2, and 3 on our sidewalks. But we made that change coupled with a speed limit on the sidewalks, an enforceable speed limit of 15 miles an hour. So we feel we can accommodate those. We did that after doing a safety study, which is germane to actually the public commenters who talk about the sidewalks don't feel safe. Safety is measured statistically. The most significant accidents on our sidewalk have involved speed. They've been on the west sidewalk, bike on bike, all local residents. A tourist on a rental bike going 5 miles an hour wobbling won't hurt themselves. Bikes are like cars. The faster you go, the more damage there is. But at this juncture, staff is not recommending what you suggest, Director. We think that we need all 6 lanes on the bridge for traffic, and that we feel our sidewalks can accommodate people. And similar to the roadway, when things get crowded, everyone has to slow down. And we know that can be frustrating for cyclists, and it's also frustrating for motorists. But we are, glad that we're able to accommodate electric bikes, and we have seen an uptick of them on the sidewalks. And we are tracking accidents on our sidewalks, and we have that in my GM report every month. So we're not hiding from what accidents occur. It's public data that we share with the public. But at this juncture, we're not looking at giving a lane on our roadway to bikes.
Thank you. One moment. The general manager, in his reply to public comment, you referred to recreational and triathletes as cyclists. There are many commuter cyclists as well, and sometimes cyclists on their way to and from Bridge District related meetings on the other side of the gate, who run into the problem of 3 and 4 pedestrians abreast. Just to point that out. Director Grossgold.
Well, and this is just an aside, but we're focusing on bikes, but when I took a walk on the bridge about 3 weeks ago, you do marvel at the many uses on that sidewalk, but it's not just the bikes, it's also joggers and runners. Okay. And I did see the 3 people walking, the tourists walking together, and it is hard for them to change their habits, but it's, you have to be watching out for them too. So just a comment.
Any other directors with questions or comments? Director Thier.
Yes, thank you so much for that report. So I wanted to ask about the rehabilitation plan. I would very much like to be part of the group that helps work on that. I don't know how those decisions are being made, but I wanted to offer my assistance. I have worked on a lot of pensions from my days at different private law firms, and also have some history in my public roles working on pensions. So I'd love to be able to do that and offer my assistance. In addition, I also wanted to mention that at the last meeting, I too asked for this to be kept on the agenda and actually reported on every month. Fixing this pension is probably one of the most important things that we can do at this board. These are our employees, these are our bus drivers, and we saw last meeting that the advisor for the pension showed that it was basically a downward spiral because of lack of contributions and also a decline in drivers that are paying into the pension. So I think we are at a critical, pivotal moment, and I would also ask that this, be kept and reported on, just so that we can make sure that we're doing what we need to do to make sure that there's a pension left for drivers who have given their years of service to the district.
Thank you, Director Thier. With respect to the working group, we have language that we agreed to in a collective bargaining agreement that specifies that will be an equal number of district and union GT TARP members. And so our board president selected Director Snyder, and I believe that the union representative will be Shane Weinstein. But so we have an MOU that specifies the framework for this study. It's important that we follow the framework for this study because it'll be hard work, and we don't want someone to, either party, to say we don't want to proceed because we're not following the process. We don't want to have a process way for someone to duck it, because it's going to be hard on us and on the union because it's tough stuff. With respect, I'll just leave it at that. I appreciate your interest, but I believe that the agreed to language narrows it tremendously. I look forward to providing a monthly report to the board with respect to the status of the plan. I agree we need to fix it. With respect to the plan actuary Graham's presentation to you last month, it's important, I guess it's too much to know. It's important to know that he does regular updates to the GT TARP board. He did one 10 years ago, and the plan was at a 68% funded level, when the demographics of the plan were different, where he outlined the savings or the benefits of the plan of removing these subsidies 10 years ago. And at that time, they would have had a pronounced impact on the plan. The fact that no action has happened for 10 years has contributed to it. You can go back and look at that prior study to see. So the plan that was at 68% suffered tremendously by that inaction, and that's why I think the governance does need to be addressed. With respect to the number of employees, though, you're spot on. We have a shrinking workforce, so that creates challenges for the pension, and that's why, as part of the rehabilitation plan, I look forward to coming to you to talk about how much more money we're going to have to put into it.
And I will welcome that.
Are there other directors with comments or questions for Mr. Mulligan? I will have just a little bit. We did take some actions at the board, on the trust board. We didn't take the full range of possible actions, but we took quite a number of actions that Mr. Schmidt discussed with us back then. Also, there were written comments by the general manager, with which I've taken some exception, but I will not, in the interest of time, go into detail on those exceptions here. No, I'll just leave it at that. Anyone else with regard to the general manager's report? Then we can move along to the attorney's report. Mr. Milius.
Morning, President Terrio. Thanks so much. My report is before you. I'm happy to take any questions on it. And we'll have two closed sessions today. One, a case of pending litigation called McCullough, and the other, a report from the Advisory Committee for the Review of Officers. That'll be in closed session. Thanks very much.
Any questions from Mr. Manolius on his report? I see none. So moving along again, the engineer's report. Ms. Barra-Furbush.
President Corio, members of the board, my written report is before you, and I would like to speak about few of the projects that are covered in my report. First is the suicide deterrent construction, and it is really a happy spot to be in, where I will be explaining to you which pieces of the net are not yet installed, rather than give you a walk of every piece we're installing, because that means that we are reaching the conclusion of the net installation. So first of all, there is still net is missing on the west side of the south approach viaduct, the 4-point arch. Also, small pieces of the net will not be installed until much later near the main towers and the east side of the north span of the suspension bridge. But these locations, they all have the construction fencing. So one way or the other, the full length of the bridge has some kind of a barrier in place. And another indication that we are near completion of the net is that after the fabrication of the net was done, we just closed the contract. We have closed the contract with our consultant that provided shop inspections near Chicago. Another good news is that because of the lesser locations along the bridge that require inspections now, we will be closing a contract we have with the field inspection consultant in January. So we believe that we have enough experience and staff availability to cover those inspections in-house. Another important part of the suicide deterrent is construction of the so-called, I call it a training net. This is for rescuers, for themselves, so they can train themselves with some kind of a piece of net that resembles the actual situation on the bridge. This training net is being installed at the Southern Marine Training Tower in Mill Valley on the Strawberry side. And right now, the installation of the net itself already began there on December 14th. So we hope we can get this project done in few months, so the first responders can take over and get some training, which is very important. I also want to let you know that you may recall we have this little project called seismic retrofit of the suspension bridge. And we are in the process of arranging for the engagement of the prime contractor under CMGC procedures, contractor manager, general contractor procedures. We are in negotiations with the top ranked candidate, and we are working with Caltrans because they're, how should I say it? There is a learning process, not only on our side, but also on their side, to learn how to provide oversight with respect to financial reviews of our candidate. In the same time, today we plan to advertise another piece of this puzzle. This will be services for independent cost estimator. In the CMGC process, what's important that this will be an open book construction estimation on the part of the contractor, but as a check, we will have someone experienced in this type of estimation, experience with heavy civil construction, retrofit of major steel bridges, and knowing how the contractors work with the estimates. So we will hire this entity to provide us independent cost estimates that will be revealed only to the district and will be used to compare to the proposed pricing from the contractor. It is a very interesting approach because one thing I'm really hopeful, this time around we can air out all the risks, assign them to the parties that should take care of them, and have a construction price that we feel comfortable with. This will not be a low bid process, so nobody will be able to underbid anything. And I think it's important the people who are in business of doing construction, we have to be fair to them, and they have to be fair to us. And finally, just to let you know, few months ago, this board awarded a contract for the rehabilitation of fuel tanks at the Larkspur Ferry Terminal. So the work has been done and all 4 tanks are in service right now. And finally, Dennis mentioned the Alexander Avenue survey. So our surveyor is preparing the record of survey. And while they were doing the job, they discovered that Caltrans never filed the record of survey on their part of Alexander Avenue. So we had to, engage our consultant to complete this job. But I think this is the life in surveying. And finally, we are preparing the request for proposal from design consultant because we want to engage a design consultant for the first phase of Alexander Avenue repaving, restriping, and repairs. So this concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any question the board may have for me.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. Are there questions or comments for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? Director Thayer.
I want to thank you so much for that report. You're doing amazing work. I just wanted a quick little update on professional services agreement 2014-FT-13 wetland restoration design and permitting support with WRA. I wanted to check back in on the herbicide issue and see if any what has happened, if any progress has been made on years 4 and 5.
Right, so the first phase of the field work has been completed. The area 1 being all the pampas grass being uprooted, and also the branches of pampas grass were removed from other areas. So we have instructed the consultant that there will be no herbicide use on this project, and they are preparing a cost proposals with certain assumptions they have to make. Should resprouting occur from those uprooted pampas grass balls, then they will have to use mechanical means to deal with it. And I hope that we can bring this to the board for your approval sometime in January, at the January board meeting.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for that. This board's commitment to the environment with the proximity to the bay and herbicides in that location, I want to say, it is in line with our sustainability goals and our climate action goals. And I want to say thank you to you. Sure. I love you, right? And thank you to our director and staff, and of course to Amaret. I think this is a pivotal moment where we are actually taking our established goals in terms of the environment and making sure that they're a reality. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. The engineer's written report was presented at the Building and Operating Committee yesterday. If you go to the third and second from last pages on that, you'll find a statement with regard to the pesticides. Thank you. Any other Director Hernandez?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate the comments that were made during public comment, giving recognition of the board members around the table here who are those who sign the policies and vote on decisions, and my colleagues of a couple of decades who made the decisions to allow us to have this suicide deterrent system come to light. All well deserved, but I believe also that the engineering staff has been amazing through this whole thing. And you as the chief officer, sorry, it was hard fought. I don't think that you get the credit that you deserve for the monumental task that has been the suicide deterrent system, and for the ways that you have stretched yourself professionally and personally to ensure that this project has achieved such success. I just want to say thank you very much to you and your team, as well as all of the other departments that have contributed to days that we can celebrate in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director Hernandez. I want to assure you that my staff feels that they have support of this board, full support. And I always say we are the engineers. We take satisfaction with getting the job done. And in our business, it takes years sometimes to be satisfied with the work we're doing, because sometimes those jobs take few years. So in addition to knowing math and physics and so on, we are very patient people too. So, and thank you again, Director Hernandez, and thank you to the board, and thank you for all your support for this project.
Are there any other questions or comments for? All right. Any other comments or questions for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. We move along then to action items. First up is the Building and Operating Committee under Chair Garbarino. Everything here was discussed yesterday at some length, but Chair Garbarino, give us your report, please.
Thank you, President Serio. The Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of board agenda item number 8A1, which is to authorize the general manager to execute amendment number 2 to the National Park Service Special Use Permit, extending the permit term to December 31st, 2027. Approve an annual permit fee in the amount of $48,717 for each year of the 4 years to be charged to project number 1526, Golden Gate Bridge Fiscal Suicide Deterrent System, and increase the fiscal year 2023-2024 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 1526 in the amount of $194,868 in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There is a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Various possible seconds. Is there any discussion on the motion? Then all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. There was one late aye there, but they all count. Okay. Chair Garbarino?
Yes, thank you.
Keep going if you have more.
Once again, next is item number 8A2, which is to authorize a $4,200,000 increase in project number 1526, Golden Gate Bridge Fiscal Suicide Deterrent System Project, to finance contract administration and construction engineering by the district's engineering staff, authorize execution of the Fourth Amendment to the Professional Services Agreement number 2018-B07, Golden Gate Bridge Fiscal Suicide Deterrent System and Wind Retrofit Construction Scheduling and Claim Review Services with Secretariat International of Manhattan Beach, California, in the amount of $1,108,500 $305 for continuation services, and increase the fiscal 2023 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 1526 in the amount of $5,308,305 through approximately December 2024, in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second. There is a motion, there is a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, again, I will say, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Chair Garbarino, do you have anything more?
President, that concludes my report.
I am happy your voice survived as long as it did. Next is Finance and Auditing Committee. Chair Rabbit, please be as gentle with us as you can.
Thank you, President Terrio. Before I begin, I want to thank everyone for their patience as we move forward with our committee's 8 recommendations, and also thank staff for excellent work coming forward. With that said, the Finance Auditing Committee recommends approval of item 8B1, authorizing execution of professional services agreements relative to contract number 2023-B092, consulting services for tolling.
Yes, Chair Rabbit, please, and President Terrio. I have a potential conflict of interest, so I'm going to recuse myself from this item, and I'll give you a little warning. Also, item 8B4, so if you could allow me to do that, I'm going to leave the room now.
If with the board's permission, we'll take those out of order, and the chair's permission, that will facilitate the coming and going of directors here. And sorry for the interruption, Director Rabbit. I'll wait just a moment and please continue. Are we ready, Thomas? Yes. Okay. Please continue, Chair Rabbit.
All right. This is for authorization of authorizing execution of professional service agreements relative to contract number 2023-B-092, consulting services for tolling, electronic payments, and data analysis with Arcadis IBI Group, Atkins Realis USA Incorporated, Cleaver Consulting Group, Deloitte Consulting LLP, 49 Technologies, HNTB Corporation, HDR, Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated, RS&H California Incorporated, Silicon Transportation Consultants, and WSP USA for a 5-year term with 5 additional 1-year option terms to be exercised by the general manager if in the district's best interest, for a total aggregate not to exceed amount of $20 million over the entire term of all agreements, including all option years. And further authorize the general manager to issue individual task orders to the listed firms up to the total aggregate approved amount if the task orders are within the contract scope and approved contract amount, and if funding is available within the district's annual budget, as detailed in the staff report. And with all the above, I so move.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There are various possible seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. If you skip to 8B4, please.
8B4, authorizing execution of on-call professional support services contracts relative to request for proposals number 2023-D-075, grants management professional services with Villa Civil, APC, Haley and Aldrich, and WSP USA for a 3-year term with 2 additional 1-year options to be exercised at the general manager's discretion for a total aggregate not to exceed amount of $800,000 over the entire term for all.
The item is still in progress, Thomas.
Oh, he called me. This one. Sorry.
Are we ready, Thomas? Ready. Please continue.
For a total aggregate not to exceed amount of $800,000 over the entire term of all contracts, including all option terms, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Now, Thomas, you can bring Director Thayer back in, and we'll wait till she comes back in. Okay, please continue, Director Rabbit.
Great. Moving back to item 8B2, which is authorizing the execution of the Fourth Amendment to the services agreement with VHT StarStar LLC, doing business as StarStar Mobile, relative to contract number 2013-B-11, Mobile Direct Response Network Services to enable mobile messaging for toll information and all electronic tolling, for a one-year term with 4 additional one-year option terms to be exercised by the general manager if in the district's best interest, for a total not to exceed amount of $125,000 over the entire term of all agreements, including all option terms, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion, and is there a second?
Second.
I hear various seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Director Rabbit.
8B3 is to establish a new ferry division capital project, project number 2447, Spalding dry docking and capital improvements in the fiscal year 23-24 ferry division capital budget in the amount of $6,624,000 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Keep going, Director Rabbit. Doing fine.
Moving on to 8B5, authorizing the general manager to execute contract number 2023-D-107, Workforce Management System with UKG Kronos Systems LLC in an amount not to exceed $345,950 for the upgrade and migration of the district's Kronos electronic timekeeping system for the first 5 years of maintenance and support, establishment of a new capital project, project number 2413, Kronos electronic timekeeping system upgrade, with a total budget of $406,840. And if in the district's best interest, authorize the general manager to approve additional amendments to the contract to provide for future years annual recurring maintenance and support for the Kronos electronic timekeeping system beyond the initial 5-year term, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Director Rabbit.
Next is a 8B6 to receive the independent auditor's financial reports as submitted by Ide Bailey LLP for the annual comprehensive financial report for the year ending June 30th, 2023, and to receive the independent auditor's communication letter regarding matters related to the audit as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion second. And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Director Rabbit.
8B7 to receive the independent auditor's single audit report for the year ending June 30th, 2023, as submitted by Ide Bailey LLP, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion second. The year 1899 is no longer in question, I assume, Mr. Watt. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Director Rabbit.
And our last item for you today is item 8B8, which is to receive the annual report of the OPEB Retirement Investment Trust Board as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it again. Director Rabbit, you did wonderfully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the Government Affairs and Public Information Committee. Chair Cochran, try to be briefer than Director Rabbit.
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Government Affairs and Public Information Committee recommends the approval of item numbers 8C1 to approve the implementation of the district's 2024 legislative platform as presented by staff and detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion and second? No, I seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Very good. Thank you, Director Cochran. Do you have anything more?
No, Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. I see no addresses to the board under item 9. Item 10A is to approve the 2024 Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation Board of Directors meeting schedule. I'm supposed to hand this off to you, Amaret, to discuss.
Thank you. That's the proposed schedule for next year, 2024. And if there's any issues along the way, as you've seen, we've canceled meetings or we've made changes here and there. So as soon as possible, we'll alert everyone to let them know when those changes happen. But we'll try our best to stick to that schedule.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. That doesn't mean we don't have to have discussion. Is there any discussion on the item? I see none. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it again. Thank you, Amaret. Next we go into closed session. Mr. Melius, would you take us into closed session, please?
Absolutely, President Terrio. Thank you so much. At this time, the board will go into closed session with 2 closed sessions. First, a conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation under 54956.9A of the Government Code for a case called Greger and McCullough versus Golden Gate Bridge District. And second, under Government Code sections 54957 and 54957.6 for a report from the 2023 Advisory Committee for the Review of Officers.
Thank you for your patience, everyone, while we're in closed session. And if you could please keep your phones on mute, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for your continued patience, everyone, while we remain in closed session.
Closed session.
President Terrio. The board met in closed session on two items. The first item was a conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation in the Government Code 54956.9A, the McCullough case, and authorized a $300,000 settlement in that matter, which has been accepted by the other side, so that settlement is complete. And the second matter was a report from the advisory committee for the review of officers under Government Code 54957 and 5957.6, and the board was appropriately briefed. That's the report.
Thank you, Mr. Manolis. Then we move along to item number 10C, which is a report from the Advisory Committee for the nomination of officers of the Board of Directors for 2024. I don't think there is a mob waiting at the door of the district's offices to disrupt this particular transition.
Although I'm prepared for it.
So Chair Parr, please begin your report.
Good morning. I'd first like to thank President Theriault for appointing me the chair of the committee after the departure of our dear colleague, Judy Arnold, who chaired this advisory committee for 10 years. So it was big shoes to step into. So the advisory committee consisted of directors Grosball, Gabarino, Maston, Giudice, Stefani, and myself. We met on November 17th, 2023, and the committee unanimously recommends the following slate of officers for 2024, the first of a 2-year term. The committee recommends first Vice President Gerald Cochran of Del Norte County as President of the Board of Directors. First Vice President Cochran has held his current office since January 1st, 2020. He served on this Board of Directors since his appointment by the Del Norte Board of Supervisors on January 27th. Do you remember the date, Jerry?
Yes, I do.
2004. The committee recommends second Vice President Bert Hill of San Francisco as first Vice President. Second Vice President Hill has been on the Board of Directors since March 27th. Do you remember, Bert? 2015. Yeah, if you don't remember, I'll tell you here.
I was actually sitting at home with my wife, and I looked it up just
Don't use your phone. That's cheating. And is appointed by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors as an at-large member. Finally, the committee recommends Director David Rabbit of Sonoma County to assume the office of second Vice President. Director Rabbit has been on the Board of Directors since January 28th,
My wife tells me I'm horrible with dates.
2011. 2011. And I'm doing that kind of on purpose, so you'll see how the numbers jump back and forth from a fairly recent to a fairly tenured. Is that the way to say that? 2011, and is appointed by the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors colleagues to represent the county. The nominations are consistent with the board's practice of alternating the presidency between San Francisco directors and directors from the northern counties of Marin, Sonoma, Napa, Mendocino, and Del Norte. Next year, we will be back again to reconfirm the slate of officers for 2025. With thanks to my fellow committee members, I also move the approval of this slate of officers.
I don't actually know that Robert's Rules of Order require a second for nominations in an election, but we'll accept the seconds, I think, anyway, as a gesture. Thank you, Chair Parr. The advisory committee is recommending Gerald Cochran as president, Bert Hill as first vice president, and David Rabbit as second vice president. There is a motion and a second. Are there questions or comments from board members related to the recommendation?
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your service.
Thank you. Before we take our vote, this is another opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no one in the room to speak, and I believe we do not have anyone.
I'm not from the public, but Sabrina just reminded me that I think we owe you a debt of gratitude for your 2 years of service. It's kind of been a mother.
I'll have an opportunity to give a little speech here in a
Oh,
moment.
good. Well, if you'll allow the word, it's kind of a mugwump. You had your mug in the COVID, and now your wumps in the room. So it's never easy, but you've been very elegant and eloquent, and led us forward. Thank you, Mike.
An elegant iron worker.
You should read the articles he writes about the iron workers, and it's very, very well done. So have him send those to you.
Well, there's some other things I sent to us also. Director Fear.
So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, Mike, as our president. I came on this board a brand new person during COVID, and you were always there for me to explain certain things that happen at this board, which is very different than many other boards. But you're also an amazing leader, and you've been able to take your own opinions, have them heard in a very respectful way, even if they're different than some other folks around the table. You've managed to make everyone here, I think I'm speaking for my fellow board members, feel welcome and feel like every idea is important, even if it's an underground parking garage, Dennis. And, I've seen you in leadership positions before. We go way back to, when you headed up the building trades, and before that in the Iron Workers Union. And I just want to say to you that I am in awe of you. I'm in awe of your leadership. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for everything you've done. Even when there were times when you weren't feeling so great, the fact that you came here and showed your dedication, and you're just a role model for all of us. So thank you for your service. Thank you for being president. And you already know I really do love you, so I still do. Bye.
Thank you, Director Fear. Director Hill.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I too go back many more years with President Terrio. We both were on the Housing Action Coalition, which he had leadership in. So I learned a lot over those years, and that was an exciting thing. You've always been a great leader. You're very sharp, and you're very direct. We'll put it that way. And,
you would know, I give you hell quite a bit.
Oh yeah, fellow bicyclists too. So there's a lot there, but I'm really glad the last 2 years you've done a fantastic job.
And some of you in counties not San Francisco have in part Bert and I and the San Francisco Housing Action Coalition and our relationship with Scott Wiener back when to blame for what some of what you're dealing with now.
We're housing experts too.
Scott was on the board too.
Yeah, and Scott was here. Anyone else? Director Hernandez.
I'd just like to say that I've known you for many years now.
You have.
And I remember when you were retiring from your position as Secretary Treasurer of the San Francisco Building Construction Trades Council, your list of things that you were going to accomplish and do was just impressive. For those of you who were not at that raucous party, Mike was going to learn how to read in Greek and Latin. He was going to write 6 books. He was going to travel. He was going to do all kinds of amazing things. And I know that he's working on that list, and it's just amazingly impressive that he's done so many things in his personal life and has managed to hold the position of president of this organization and do as much as he has. So I just want to echo the comments of appreciation of my colleagues, say thank you very much. And take a break now.
her list was not exactly accurate. And by the way, I wasn't going to learn to read classical Greek. I did know how once upon a time, but I have forgotten. The only thing I can remember is a quote from Euripides. That's it. That's all I can tell you.
Which is Greek to me.
But anyone else? I'll give you the whole list sometime if you want. Okay, thank you.
We love copies of the books.
So there are at this point 9 short stories accepted. Another would be about a book's worth. Some of them are online. Director Parr has some, and maybe on the basis of an email request, I'll get you whatever is online. Some are not online. Some are going to be in print. You'll have to go buy them if they're still available. But close to a book, and there's at this point about 500 pages of the first draft of a novel as well. So we're making progress with a final career. Anyway, that is the set of recommendations you've heard from Chair Parr with various complimentary seconds. And then the only thing to do is to take a vote because we have nobody from the public who's been wanting to make a comment. And this time, yeah, let's just do another voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. The new slate of board officers is approved. Second part of this item is, it says when I take my presidency hat off, but I'm, I don't wear a hat anymore. And turn things over to incoming President Cochran and pass the gavel over to him. And thank everybody who supported me through my presidency. So here's where I give my speech. And I'll sit down for a while. I'm not satisfied with what I've done here. I had a great deal that I've wanted to do when I came in, comparable to the long list that I haven't done so much with from when I retired from the building trades. There were some distractions last year. I had a couple things tried to kill me. Some of you saw the cage around my neck that helped preserve me after one, when we had the video meetings back when. I will point out that I had good models ahead of me to follow. Director Grosswald, when he was president, for example, Director Hernandez. I really wanted to do what she had done and come to know the district in detail everywhere. And I had started sort of the grand tour that she did back when she was president. General Manager Mulligan gave me the first part of that, and we had more of it planned. And I was going to be riding buses and ferries. I still ride ferries, and see the district inside and out, and have a little better sense of everything that went on in the district. And then things happened to me, and kind of slowed me down a little bit. I also wanted to take on a strategic planning process that has not gotten to the point that I want yet. And I will hope that Director Cochran allows me to continue banging away at that as we move into his term as president, because I would love to see that process to its completion under his gavel. It will not be everything any of us want, myself included. It will be a thing that we've needed for a long time, and we can take it as something to build on for future strategic plans as well, I hope. And I want to thank Director Parr also for her example. A lot of you don't know, and I don't know how comfortable she'd be in my talking about this, what she was going through. Not only did she help guide us through the pandemic on this board, but she was struggling through health issues every bit as severe as mine back when, for the entire time that she was president of the board. And yet she persevered, and well, thank goodness we have her here today. And I will applause for her. And that's probably quite enough. You don't like to go to lunch. President Cochran.
Before you do that, President Pike, we want to thank you for your leadership over the past couple of years. It's been a new experience for you and for all your fellow board members, and that Director Parr started us into the pandemic and the Zoom meeting.
It wasn't my problem.
I know, but we all adhered to it. And then, Mike, you got to bring us out. And we certainly appreciate that with a few, since we couldn't get back into our own building because of the elevator, we met a few other places, and the temporary sites, I know that our past member, John Moylan, would have really appreciated that. They were there at the Irish Cultural Center. A major accomplishment that President Mike has done was complete the ATU negotiations this past year. And Mike, with that masterful accomplishment, I'm making you the chairman of the advisory committee.
Yeah, thanks for that, thanks, yeah.
And then the other thing you did commit to, as you mentioned, the strategic plan. I'm not sure who you promised you were going to do that, but you've undertaken that, the new plan, and you're going to help the district kind of guide themselves for the next 10 to 20 years or 10 to 15 years, whatever the number is, and have a good solid background. So we're almost complete with that task. But here again, I'm making you chairman of that committee. Yeah, I mean, you talked yourself into this.
Yeah, I guess so.
Don't favor me. And as we all know, the seismic retrofit has been the top priority of this board for over 20 years. And I remember Ava and John taking me out on the bridge probably back in about 2009. And they mentioned it was a mere $370 million project, which now is ballooned to $800 million. I mean, that's what we're looking for. But you, under your leadership and the help of our staff, we've managed to attain $400 million of 800. And we're, of course, this morning we're talking with the state people trying to get another 200 million, and then 150 will be our toll money. So Mike, thank you for a job well done. And with that, we've got a couple little gifts.
I see things
We
here.
have little gifts for you.
Those aren't coming home with me on my bicycle.
You can't take them home?
I don't think that's
Yeah, no, Mike, we're going to watch and see, make sure you do that. So,
What's your turn to first?
You turn to that one.
Well, this
That
one
one
first.
first.
Okay. So, when you give up the gavel, it can be hard. So, he's going to be at home tonight wanting to bang the gavel. So, you got to give him one to bring home with him. It's a gavel holder, and Mike is a former iron worker, so it's only fitting that the holder incorporate a piece of steel from the bridge.
Right on.
Taken off as part of repairs that your fellow members help craft for you. And then, of course, we have a plaque, because you always have to have a little plaque that has your name, so you didn't steal it from somebody else. And then it has the dates of your leadership. So, Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is easy to get home on the bike compared to the next one.
Yeah.
That's right. This
That one is so
this
yummy.
one weighs a ton. So it's got the base of the suspender rope over here, also by the base, all made by ironworkers. There's rivets on the bottom here. And the electricians in our electrical department put this together to make the light. So this is a complete handmade set.
Even the little nut on the top.
That's
is
right.
And the bottom.
The only thing that's store-bought, of course, is the ships.
They've been cut and threaded to fit this thing.
But it does weigh a ton, so I'm making it see me, easy fit.
That's pretty hefty.
So I don't think you'll be biking that home.
So nice. I love it.
No.
You get to hold this.
All right, there you go.
That's right.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh.
Looking over
Over there.
Thank you.
And thank you to Amaret,
Yes.
who makes it all work.
Truly.
And thanks to the crews at the bridge that made these items.
Oh, would you send me one of those?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
That's for me. All right.
That doesn't seem right that you have to carry your own name tag over.
Well, thank you, everyone. Oh, yeah. That's how it's gonna be. Thank you for the confidence you have in myself and our other two vice presidents, and we're we're on to a new regime. So now we'll start back, take us back to the agenda. We're already taking care of item 11, unfinished business. We have no new business to report. Item number 13 is communications. And I'd remind my colleagues that if you like copies of any of the communication, you can see or contact the district secretary. We've reached the end of the agenda and there are no further items to be presented to the board. Thanks to everyone who joined us today for today's meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, moved in second. Thank you.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, you may.
I'm dying to say it was wonderful to have a Justine sighting.
Yes.
That she's come out of whatever communication dungeon she's been in, and we finally get to see her, right? Good soul that she is. So good.
Well, thank you, Patty. So with that, having no objections, we will adjourn today's meeting in memory of James O'Donnell, the former chief house painter, Marjorie McCrease, former Marin County planner, or planning director, and former First Lady Rosalind Carter. So please join me in a moment of silence. Okay, with that, meeting is adjourned.